Oh, delighted you could join me and my latest book crew for another chapter of Between the Covers. Now, Will Smith may well enjoy getting jiggy with it, but here we like to get litty with it. And with me tonight, the chef and bake-off judge who has written 8 novels. Not easy with a big necklace clanking on the keyboard. She's the icing on today's BTC cake. It's the fabulous Prue Leith. Actor, comedian, MASH reporter and star of Horrible Science. Let's just hope there's some chemistry between us tonight. It's Jason Forbes. She's from Glasgow and also from Texas. Frankly, confusing. But with album sales topping 40 million, she's obviously doing something right. Fantastic frontwoman Sharleen Spiteri. He makes us howl in Ghosts and scowl in Alma's Not Normal. What a baddie. Actor and comedian on my left, right. It's Captain Ben Willbond. Hello. They've all obligingly brought in their BYOBs. Here they are, ready and waiting to be scrawled upon your letter to Santa. And as always, we've got 2 specially chosen books to entertain you. Tonight's gem from our selection of 6 new titles is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. And from our book of backlist picks, tonight's choice is this one, Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. Hey, fact fans, Fingersmith is actually Victorian slang for pickpocket, did you know? So before any of you ne'er-do-wells try to snaffle away one of my lovely books, let's get between the covers. Now, remember holidays. Imagine this now, you're lying under palm trees, the sun is warm, the bar is open, even though it's only 11 a.m, but what the heck, it's all inclusive. You've managed to dump off the kids at the kids' club, yes. What book are you reading in that situation, please, Sharleen?
I love a biography on holiday. I have to be honest, I will literally just sit and chuckle away at, you know, there's a lot of great ones out there.
And is this on audiobooks? You like an audiobook?
I love
an
audiobook.
So not only are you laughing, but you've not even got a book in your hand.
I'm literally sitting with my earpods in, but because to me, I'm like, I don't want a book like that in my face because of the sun. And I don't want any more. You know, you get a white stripe across your face, end up looking like adamants.
And
so
they can, great reference. Prue, what about you when you're sunning yourself?
Well, once upon a time, I used to always think holidays were when you took a really big, heavy book that you'd been meaning to read for a long time, and then you'd get stuck into it. And I tried 2 or 3 times with Proust, and I never got past about the 3rd chapter anyway. So I abandoned that. Now what I like is something really easy to read. So I like Jojo Moyes, I like Joanna Trollope, I like familiar, easy love stories.
And it's a genre now, a beach read, isn't it? A holiday read, because you do just want to relax.
It's sort of effortless because, you know, it's familiar territory. It's not, you're not having to learn something new. These are all people you know, and I love them.
Fantastic. What about you, Jason?
I tend to like to read something that's kind of to do with the place I'm in. So, I mean, I grew up in Bristol, so I used to come to London for a holiday quite a lot. So it's not, I know that's not very glamorous, there's no sun or anything like that, but there was a book I really loved called The Victorian Underworld by Kello Chesney, which is a non-fiction book about the kind of criminal underworld of London at the time, and it's written like a novel. It's great, and there are lots of diagrams in there, you know, sort of showing you how to pick a lock, and it's real.
Oh, so if we get locked in here today, Jason, I'm like taking a bit of a hairpin.
Yeah. So yeah, something kind of to do with where I am, or sets where I am.
Idea.
Ben, what about you?
Well, all my life I've loved spy thrillers and spy fiction. Of course, Le Carré being up there.
Yes.
And sometimes I definitely reread Le Carré all the time, but I will always reach for something that's going to be indebted to Le Carré. And I discovered Charles Cumming, who just writes so well in the genre. And
what's that face? Because it's like...
Well, because I said genre, and I promised myself I wouldn't say that.
It's a few words today, like I'm not going to say
don't
genre.
Don't do that, because that's on the bingo list. Words not to
It's
say.
really accent as well. Right, BYOB time. Let's reel in The Lightning Thread by David Profumo. Can you tell I've never fished? Do you like that? It's part memoir, part love letter to fishing. Now, when I think of you, Prue, I think more cake, not carp. But you are a keen fisherwoman, is that right?
I am a keen fisherwoman. I'm a salmon fisher, which is actually much easier to do than trout fishing. You have to be really intelligent to do trout fishing and very skillful. Salmon are stupid and they decide whether they'll get hooked or not. But the thing about fishing is that you're on your own in a river, you're miles from anybody else, and you're just standing there listening to the water and casting and thinking every cast will be better than the last one, and this might be the one that you actually hook a fish.
I hate to gently steer this away from the fishing chat because
You're quite right. This is about the book.
You know, not a sentence I thought I'd need to say on this show, but it is about this beautiful book. What's it about then? Why do you love it?
Well, David Profumo is a really good writer, and it's lovely to read because he writes so well. But it's also very funny, and it's all his anecdotes from fishing. He's just fished all over the world and does. It's a passionate hobby, but he's not a professional guide or anything. And so it's a part travelogue, it's part memoir, and it's a lot of funny stuff about fishing. And I just love it. I think it's a book you can pick up. I had it by my bath for ages. I love to read in the bath.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Prue, thank you very much. Now, let's plunge into this week's new book pick. It's this, Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. I loved it. Here she is to tell you all about it.
Small Things Like These is the story of Bill Furlong, a coal and timber merchant who lives with his wife and 5 daughters in New Ross, which is a town in County Wexford, Ireland. It begins in October in 1985 and goes on through the winter and concludes on Christmas Eve after he gets a haircut at the local barber shop. The book explores the silences around the Catholic Church during the 1980s. I think that the coverage so far makes readers believe that it's a story about the Magdalene laundries, and it's not. There just happens to be a Magdalene laundry in that town where Bill Furlong lives and works. I just think that it's a story about love, and I think Furlong was a man who in his youth received love and affection and probably can't resist demonstrating some of that as he gets older. It's possible that he will be seen as heroic, and I'm not saying he isn't, but acting on his impulses and his instincts may in fact be an act of self-destruction. I've been reading Philip Larkin since I was in my 20s, and I've always admired his work. He wrote a poem called An Arundel Tomb, which concludes with the line, "What will survive of us is love." And I can't help thinking it may be something Bill Furlong actually believes.
Thank you very much, Claire. Ben, it's small but perfectly formed. It packs a punch, doesn't it? What did you think?
I mean, it was just... I read it nearly in one sitting.
Yeah.
I really, really loved it. Her the way she can do so much in such a short space of time, and such a weighty topic as well. Like
it's like some sort of sorcery, isn't it? How did
Yeah,
she do
it really is. It's a sort of masterclass, really. I felt the anger and the emotion in it, and it was so because it's told in such quick fashion, as in the timescale of the piece, but also the length of the book. I think that makes it more powerful, and it made me angry.
You seem very mild-mannered now.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to keep it in.
Jason, what about you? Did you find it powerful?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. And, I thought it was just so intricately woven. And I, like Ben, I almost read it in one sitting as well, but I thought I should probably eat. So I got up and got some food. But
you don't want you wasted it there.
Exactly. Die reading the book. But I just really loved it. I didn't know much about the subject matter, so I was, persuaded to go and look it up afterwards and just, couldn't believe it. And I love the perspective from which it's told as well. That's quite original. You wouldn't expect it to be told through the eyes of the protagonist. And it's it's just so beautiful.
Anybody else I loved it so much that I then was no at the last page, because I want to know what happens when they get home.
Of course.
But I guess the point is you don't know, and you're supposed to make up what happens next in your own mind.
What I thought she did so brilliantly is, for the first half of the book, I didn't know what it was going to be about. Yeah. And I just thought, where's this book going? It is the most charming picture of a sort of rather simple Irish tale, utterly sweet, and lovely family, and it was just a pleasure. But I thought, this can't just go on being like this. Yeah. There's something dark going to happen. And what I thought she did amazingly was this sinister quiet of the town, that nobody wanted to go against the church because the church had such power. And so your family would suffer because the church controlled the money, the economy, the everything. So if you didn't toe the line and keep your mouth shut, so I thought it was. It's
so brilliant that you say that as well, because you say it is a charming picture of a this
Irish life. Yeah.
But right from the start, people. It is laced with threat.
Yeah.
You can feel the threat.
You know it's going to have something.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh, the cup of tea as well in the office. With
that was so great.
Yeah, you could cut the atmosphere.
That was the amazing thing about writing, is the detail. Yeah. The thing is that book is almost like a TARDIS, because you kind of go, it's a small book, whatever. Yeah. But it's so full with detail that literally puts you in the house, and again, like you said, Prue, it's like it sets you up at the beginning, this warm feeling of the home and the idea, and you kind of feel all warm and cozy, and then suddenly it's like what lurks beneath. And that really does. That's what's so great about it, because in reality, that always does sit with a lovely picture on the outside. Yeah. And I thought that was what was so interesting.
The TARDIS analogy is great. Love it.
Amazing. What will be interesting is, will she write a sequel? Because there are 2 or 3 ways this thing could go.
Yeah. That's what I want. I've got a feeling that she thinks it's not a happy ending.
I think it would be a bit disappointing if there was a sequel.
Do you think?
I quite like that sort of... just a snapshot of...
me being me, I'd be like, oh, it was all fine after Sunshine, lollipops. I'm like, it's all fine. We don't want anything bad happening. But it's fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. Yeah. Thank you so much. So, Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. We're going to have another BYOB now, and it is this. The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. It was written in the 14th century. It's thought to be one of the most important works in English literature. To quote it, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So may I venture to ask you, Jason, why did you choose this? Why do you love it so much?
I love it because I think it sort of appeals to our kind of human desire to tell each other stories, and it's the ultimate example of a bunch of people coming together and sharing stories with each other.
To be honest, I think a lot of people have studied this. Usually, people have read this book in a slightly guffy classroom, and then everybody brightens up because there's essentially some bums and boobs, and you're not expecting it, are you, at school? And that's what makes it so memorable when you're, reading it at 12 or 13 or whatever. But it really stuck with you. So, give us a little bit of synopsis if you can.
So it's essentially about a group of pilgrims who are travelling from London to Canterbury to go and visit the shrine of St Thomas Becket at Canterbury Cathedral. And to pass the time, as they are literally cantering, they decide to have a competition to tell different stories, and the winner will get a free meal at the Tabard Inn in Southwark. So it's sort of like a sort of help out to eat out kind of thing. And the stories are just great. They're really, they've not only do they have, really kind of profound philosophical questions, there are also, you know, just silly things that stuck with me when I was a kid, like, you know, people sticking their bums out of windows and farting in each other's faces. And
that's the one that I really remember, that makes it accessible, isn't it, when you're when you're young and reading it. Did you struggle with the language? Do you read through it again occasionally?
I actually love the language, but that's because I'm a bit of a nerd. But I mean, you know, you'd struggle to find anyone who wasn't fascinated by the stories. So you could read them in translation, but I love the language, and kind of one of my party tricks was to kind of recite.
I mean, I can't say what my party trick used to be, but you can have yours on the telly.
I think I've seen your party trick now.
Jason, you can't say that without us now immediately demanding a party trick, please.
This always gets me kicked out of parties, but Juan the Tapper with his shore sorter, the draught of March hath pierced to the rotor, and bathed every vein in sweet liquor, of which virtue engendered is the floor. When Zephyrus eke with his sweet breath in spirit hath in every holt and heth the tons. I could go on, but
Very
Wow, was
be here forever.
Surely got to be a drinking game somewhere. As
I'm thinking that.
Hither and thither or whatever. Brilliantly done. Thank you very much, Jason. Great. Now then, as we're in the groove, why not crack on with another of your favourite books? And it is this one, William Boyd's Any Human Heart.
Yes.
Generous, witty, sneakily profound. Guys, enough about me. We're talking about the book. Come on. Why is this book close to your human heart, please, Ben?
Well, I love William Boyd, and I can honestly pick up any one of his novels, and he is just a very deft storyteller. I love this one particularly because what he's done is he's created this character, Logan Mountstuart, and told his life story through journals, essentially. And because it's told through journals, it very, very cleverly takes one life, but shows you how your attitudes, your personality really changes as you go from sort of youth to old age. And I think by doing that, he sort of very cleverly covers what life is. It's this journey, and it is unique to every one of us. But of course, here he's created this really flawed character, and navigates him through a really interesting life. So
Why is he flawed?
Well, because he's flawed like any of us.
Okay.
So he's kind of, you know, he makes bad decisions. He has an affair. He does all of these very, very human things, and you're sort of, you know, it's a very, very clever trick to get you.
Are you on his side?
Well,
yeah, I was going to say you're rooting for him.
You are, but you're also aware.
You want him not to behave like that.
You know, he's like a bit of an idiot from time to time. You're like, what are you doing? What are you doing now? And it's sort of epic because it does span an entire life. You know, he hangs out with the Windsors, and he's sent on a spy mission by, Fleming. And, you know, it just sort of, you know, it's like he's really researched it so well and then thought, I'm going to have real fun with this character. Going to make him very, very human.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ben. Up now, our prime pick from the Booker backlist, and here it is, Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. It was shortlisted for the prize in 2002, but was pipped by Jan Martel's Life of Pi. Now, Sarah Waters has been nominated 3 times, but hasn't won. If it's any consolation, Sarah, you've definitely won at least one new fan right here, girlfriend. If you Google the phrase page turner, then surely this book should pop up. Jason, quick synopsis, if you will, please.
So Fingersmith is about a group of essentially full-time criminals who live in a townhouse on Lant Street near Waterloo, and they receive a visit from a guy called Gentleman, so-called because he's a former nobleman who's kind of fallen from grace, and he persuades them to allow one of the younger criminals, Sue, to come with him to a country estate where they will swindle a lady called Maud out of her fortune by having Gentleman marry her, Sue become her sort of lady-in-waiting, her
Yes,
maid.
Maid.
And eventually they will commit Maud to a madhouse.
Yes, and steal all her money. And I don't think we can go any further than that.
Yeah.
Who loved it? Ben, did you enjoy the book?
I really did. I really enjoyed it. It is a real page turner. So much so that I did find myself going to bed earlier and earlier, which is actually fine because once the children are finally stopped asking for things.
Yes. Were they tucking you in, though? Was it like 6 p.m. and they're like, night, Daddy?
Well, last night is a good case in point. I did actually go to bed when they went to bed. They were going, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm going to bed.
It's great. I mean, you can... There's one bit where they're stitching a coat made out of dog skin, and you really... you can smell...
That's what
really dense.
she's so brilliant at doing, is putting you right in that little kitchen.
In amongst the grime.
And it's such a... obviously, it's a skill that any novelist wants to possess, but I mean, in this case, it's remarkable. Her sort of painting of being in Victorian London is just fabulous. You can smell it. I love it when you find a novelist who can do that, where you almost feel, you can almost touch everything. And
all your senses are on edge with
it's
it.
It's just fantastic.
Very clever. And now, you're a fan already of Sarah Waters, aren't you?
I am. I think she's a great writer. But Fingersmith is Dickensian, isn't it? I mean, and it's a sort of... That criminal gang is like Fagin and his... And there's the most interesting character, I think, is the sort of matriarch of this Mrs. Saxby, I think she's called.
Yes.
And she's the sort of Fagin mastermind. But she's also got a heart of gold. I mean, she does this layered thing with her characters. Both the women involved, both Maud, the noble lady, and Sue, the maid, they're both good and bad. And she does it brilliantly, that business of making you totally on somebody's side and then thinking, oh, what's she doing? You can't do that. And it's totally engaging.
Totally engaging, says Prue. Jason, were you totally engaged?
There's a reason you're asking me
Should
that.
we all boo him and wait?
I'm literally, ooh.
I think...
Jason, I'll never forgive you if you don't.
No, I thought it was really, incredibly impressive, and like we've said, I think I did definitely feel like I was there, and actually I felt at times that I was reading a novel from the period. But I think in that sense, it could have been a little bit shorter. I felt it was kind of rambling in places, but very authentic in that sense.
Is it the sort of book you'd normally go for?
No, but I was glad to read it for that reason. But I think I loved the story. I thought it could have been a little bit tighter.
Although what you found as a fault for it being too...
I
loved
I didn't find that
the breadth of it.
No, I just think it's so clever that she can take her time over the detail. When she's taking a wax impression of a key. Do you remember?
Yeah.
It's pages and pages on this, and you think, if you just thought, it's going to take her 4 pages to do this is ridiculous, I'll get there. But no, it becomes completely fascinating, and I think she's really good at the detail, and to my surprise, I loved it, and I was not skipping.
Charlene, I know we've got to be very careful now, because we've got to mention the T word, which is twist.
Yeah, where the book went, because I was reading it, I was like, okay, this possibly cannot go on for this thickness of this book. And then suddenly, the whole book literally just went woof, and it changed for me. Yeah. So I would say to anybody that I would say, absolutely read this book, but don't suddenly, if you think, I don't like period book or whatever, don't think that's what you're going to read, because the twist that's going to happen will literally make you go, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that's what's amazing about it. I mean, I just thought...
scurry back through the book.
Yeah, you're kind of going, wait. Did I just kind of like... I was kind of like reading that bit willy-nilly, and suddenly you're like, oh! And it's really... And suddenly I found myself literally going, I'm dying to read the book. Yeah, I'm dying to read the next few chapters.
And the weirdness that's happening there, like,
I think that's what I did like about it was the kind of cynical aspect of the whole thing. I it's really sceptical of the goodness in anyone.
Yeah.
The whole
Too late now, Jason. Don't come trying to join our gang, the Fingersmith gang, are liking it.
But I think Lant Street was where Dickens lived, I think. So I think that's quite a nice little reference.
It also just reminds you of how relentlessly awful it was just to live in that time period, or any time period before.
Yeah.
Pretty much now,
Yeah.
I think. It's sort of
Even
like,
the 80s were tough.
oh, yeah, well, yeah.
We got it sorted.
Especially if you were a woman.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was brilliant. Thank you very much. So, Fingersmith by Sarah Waters. Right, let's dab on our final BYOB. It's Perfume, the Story of a Murderer by Patrick Suskind. Originally written in German, it's been translated into 49 languages, so it must be gut. It's sold more than 20 million copies worldwide. And Sharleen, it got up your nose, but in a good way.
You know, I remember exactly when I was given this book. We were doing Spanish TV, and Ali, our guitarist, said to me, "You need to read this book. It's right up your street." And I remember sitting at the TV studio and opening the book and starting it, and literally was just going, "I don't want to do the TV because I just want to keep reading the book."
It's a fantastic book.
It's an amazing book. I mean, scent is so evocative. Smell can take you literally to a place, to a time, see faces, just creates this amazing atmosphere. And from the moment the book starts, you literally feel that you are in Paris, on the streets, at a moment where the smells are so strong and where, people are living a certain way. And
people who've not had a whiff of it yet, tell us briefly what it's about.
It is about a boy that's born on the streets of Paris, and scent and smell is such an important part of his life. And as he grows, he wants to be a perfumer, and his obsession with smell, and it's quite funny because it talks the name perfume. You think, it's going to be lovely and gentle and stuff, but it's not. It's like what lengths he will go to capture a smell and a scent that will evoke a memory or take someone to a comfort and warm place. But the dark side of how he tries to capture that. I'm kind of like, it says it's a murder, so I can say that, but basically to kill something off, to capture the scent doesn't stay, and basically that's what's really dark about it. It's amazing that the book twists and turns, and I just absolutely loved this book from the moment I started it, and I've read it over and over and over, and I still don't ever get bored of it.
Sharleen, thank you very much. I mean, a huge thank you to all of my wonderful guests, to Ben and Prue, to Jason and Sharleen. And we really hope we've inspired you to lose yourself in a good read. If we have, find us on Twitter at BBC2. Tell us all about it using the hashtag #BetweenTheCovers. For more information on all 12 of our featured books, there they are, looking glorious. Then head to bbc.co.uk/arts. Next week is the last episode in the series. We'll be joined by Greg James, Fleur East, Lloyd Griffith and Imogen Stopes. They will shout about the books they love and will speak volumes about our final picks. Sankfa by Shibundu Onuzu, and this one, The Secret Scripture by Sebastian Barry. I can't wait, but you know what? I'll have to. Bye for now.